Hi everyone, I'm Joe Fry and this is my channel Jojo Fry Rocks, and this video is a recording of the live chat that I did with my friend Andy Mack over on his channel Guitar Stuff Studio last week. It was a collab thing that I asked him to join me on, all about new metal as part of my Guilty Displeasures mini-series. Because he's a really big fan of all those bands. So he did me a playlist of about 10 tracks to listen to, and then we talked about it on his live stream. So I'm going to put it here on my channel so that you can have a watch of it and let me know what you think. I'll put the playlist here on my channel as well so that you can go and check out the songs. I'd love to hear from you in the comments about what you think of any of these bands or these tracks or the genre itself. And also if any of you can explain to me why it's called new NU metal and not just NEW new metal. I've never understood that. I've never found an explanation for it, and I forgot to ask Andy. So yeah, I'd love to know. I'd love to hear your theories anyway. So hope you enjoy the video. And yeah, please do comment and yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thanks.
Good evening, welcome to the Guitar Stuff Studio. It's Saturday night. I'm Andy and I'm joined by my very special guest tonight, Joe Fry. How's it going, Joe?
Hey, hi Andy. It's all good, all great. Thanks very much. Thanks so much for having me on. And thank you for making that intro. That was awesome.
That was great. I really enjoyed that one. It's the start of the new metal special tonight. Right, we've got Jim in the chat already. Good evening, Jim. How are you doing? Jim's here to defend Mudvayne and other rhythm writing masters of the 90s, as he should be.
Cool. I don't know them, so you can tell us all about them or tell me all about them, because I've probably not heard of most of these bands that are sort of classed as new metal.
Well, your education begins tonight.
Hey.
Jim, how's it going? Right, so basically the premise of what's happening tonight is a bit different from what I usually do, which is just talk about guitars and just basically be a nerd. I mean, I'm going to be a nerd. That's
We're definitely going to get nerdy. I've got notes and everything. Like.
Oh, you're a lot more prepared than me then.
You gave me homework. Like you gave me.
To be fair, right? I just want to explain the premise of tonight's stream. So basically, Joe, I think Jo has realised that there's a bit of a gap in her musical knowledge. And I think she's figured out that the more you know about different genres and different bands and different guitar players and everything, that the more enriched your life will be. So she wanted to make a video about nu metal. And the idea was going to be that she interviewed me and we spoke about things, but I think we just decided it'd be easier to do it on here. Two birds, one stone.
And
So,
also we've got the added bonus of everyone in the chat who can kind of pitch in and kind of give us more info and ideas and stuff. So that's cool.
Absolutely, yes, Jim. We are both wearing Slipknot shirts.
Yeah, we didn't check. Like we didn't.
Wasn't planned.
We didn't plan this.
It was an accident, the Slipknot shirts, but I think it's what Bob Ross would call a happy coincidence. So,
Bob Ross. Yeah, no, it's you know, as you say, like this is a gap in my knowledge. Of course, I was around at the time. I was in my early 20s, you know, it was all kind of the late 90s, early 2000s. But I think for one reason or another, it sort of passed me by, even though I was there and I was kind of the right age and everything to be into it. And I was into rock and metal and stuff. But I think I was still on sort of like the tail end of grunge. I was still into like Alice in Chains and stuff at that time. So it just, I don't know, it didn't chime with me for whatever reason. And then the Darkness kind of came along in the early 2000s, and then I was just completely obsessed with them. So
yeah, the Darkness was kind of like 2002, 2003. They got really big, wasn't it?
Yeah. So this kind of mostly passed me by, even though like it was really mainstream. So I know the bands that we're talking about, like they got massive, didn't they? They were huge, like Slipknot, Linkin Park, you know, Disturbed, all these bands got really, really big. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you've necessarily heard the music. Like, you know, I haven't necessarily listened to any Taylor Swift songs, and she's the biggest artist in the world at the moment. Like, things can pass you by.
Yeah, you're not missing anything. I think I've started a Bob Ross trend tonight. We've got gentle little fluffy death metal riffs, and that's going to be the title of my next album. Thank you, Harry Brooks. Cool. Thanks, Harry, for commenting. Good to see you in the chat, buddy. Yeah, so I mean, I think one of the reasons I like death metal was, I mean, I was huge into thrash and you know, hair metal, which is a really weird combination, but I just love both genres. I think I liked the girls that were into hair metal, but I liked listening to thrash metal, so I kind of, you know, I was playing both sides.
Oh yeah, that's fair. That works.
A little man whore. And like when grunge came along, that ruined rock music. I don't care what anybody says, it ruined rock music for me. And like, oh God, what is it? And I just stopped listening to rock music as much. And obviously we had the Britpop thing going on in the 90s. You know, we had like, you know, all the music, you know, Pulp.
Yeah, Blur and all those guys, Suede and all those kind of things, didn't we?
You know, and I kind of listened to a lot of that stuff. But then when nu metal came along, yeah, Jim, look, it might have helped Jim because he was into Nirvana and Sound. Before he was into Nirvana and Soundgarden, he was into Sepultura, Pantera, and Sacred Reich, Stormtroopers of Death. They were all bands that I was into, and the nu metal thing was kind of a resurgence of that because it was the real heavy guitar-driven stuff, but it's a really hard tone to describe. It's kind of like a really crispy. Crispy is a word. Guitar tone.
I've got that. I've literally got that written in my notes. I've got crispy, crunchy, all the breakfast cereal words you can think of. But we'll get into that because I am interested actually to hear, Andy, like how did you get into it? So I get sort of like if you liked
old metal, not that it's called that, but or like, just metal as it used to be known. I guess if you saw that as like a resurgence of that music, then I guess it's logical that you would like it, I suppose.
Right. Well, the thing is as well, I mean, like just before, just sort of like around about the same time that Nirvana and that came out, Rage Against the Machine were just starting to get big, and I was a huge Rage Against the Machine fan.
Yeah.
And I was a huge Faith No More fan as well. Sorry, Dave J. Greetings, my man. How's it going?
Hey,
yeah,
Dave.
I was a huge Faith No More fan, and I like the early Faith No More. The Chuck. Oh God, what was he called? He wasn't called Chuck Norris.
That's a different kind of.
Jim, help me out. What was Chuck? I can't remember. It's called Chuck. He was the original singer for Faith No More when they did stuff like We Care a Lot and everything. And that for me, I've always liked my metal to be a bit, like, to get you going, to rile you up. Jim's new metal's just a really hard-driven chord-based music, not speed palm mutes, but melodic chord structuring and groove. Yeah, it's definitely got a groove.
So much groove, and I think this.
Chuck Mosley, thank you, Jim. Fucking Chuck Norris. Do you know when you just have a blank?
I just got these like images of like Chuck Norris like with these guitars and kind of like
We Care a Lot. Skipped everything between 91 and the first time I heard A7X. Yeah, I like I say, for me there wasn't really any rock music between that time. The 90s were barren as far as rock music was concerned, because I hated grunge with a passion. And then new metal. I mean, new metal has, it got a really bad rap at the time.
Did it? I thought it was super popular, because it did seem to cross over into like it was the mainstream, wasn't it? Like,
but in the press,
like Fred Durst was going out with Britney Spears, like.
No,
something.
A lot of it was Christina, but a lot of that
the other
was
one.
but a lot of that was set up and everything. Fred Durst was hated by music journalists, but the kids loved him. And he knew that being an asshole was the way to get attention. I mean, the guy is an asshole. But he's a genius, because he knew what he was doing.
Well, it worked. It worked, didn't it? It worked for them, clearly.
It did, but it was. I mean, the music press used to call it frat metal. Frat house metal, stupid metal, dumb metal. It was, the press hated it. The music critics loathed new metal. They said it was just shit. It was just an amalgamation of the worst parts of music that were around at the moment. But the kids loved it.
I can see how it would have got a strong reaction, because it's a fusion genre, isn't it? Like the elements of it are kind of like rap, pop, sort of punk, but kind of the sort of like lighter pop kind of punk and rap side of things, with a really, really heavy sort of style of metal playing. The drums and the guitars were really.
I mean, there's so many different bands that kind of fell into the genre of new metal. I mean, but before, basically, I just want to explain to everybody as well. Joe asked me for a list of top 10 songs to listen to get her hooked on new metal. And I did my best, okay? When we go through the songs at the end of the stream, if there's any that I missed out, or there's any that you think Joe should be checking out, then drop them in the chat.
It's an awesome list, and I know it was a big ask to like just narrow it down to 10 songs, and I know that is like a really difficult ask, because you're trying to characterize a genre just by 10 songs. But not that I know much about it, but I reckon you've done an awesome job. Actually, there's only there's only one on that list that I just can't.
I can't really.
Can't like.
Honestly. I can't even remember the list I sent you.
Shall we?
But, I mean,
Shall we? Do you want to kind of like start talking him through, or how do you want to do it?
give it a minute. We've got the attention of a lot of people tonight. I think it's every time I have a lady on, the viewing figures just go through the roof.
Hey,
There's a lady.
I see
yeah,
Wes.
I mean-
I think he's talking about Wes Montgomery.
No, it's Wes, definitely Wes Borland.
We're getting a lot of confusion about who's
We
in
will
these
be talking about Wes Borland very shortly. I know me and Jim are both huge Wes Borland fans. But yeah, I mean that's the odd thing about new metal, because I mean you couldn't listen to, say, Linkin Park and then listen to Slipknot and say that they're in the same genre.
That's true. I do think that's true, but there are some points of there's some convergence between. There are similarities between all the things that you sent me.
But
On that
there's
list.
like there's like Linkin Park there, and then you've got Slipknot there. But in the middle, if you put Static X in the middle, it kind of makes sense.
It did. I thought it did actually, and I thought there's some real consistency throughout it all. So, like for example, I would say the vocalists, right? So what you've got in common, I think, is that all the vocalists are amazing, right? So you've got all
Yes.
these bands have got these incredible singers from. I don't know all their names, but like David, what's his face in Disturbed?
Dave Draiman.
Dave Draiman, you know, amazing. Obviously, you've got Corey, what's his face? Sorry, there's going to be a lot of what's his face.
Corey Taylor.
That's him. Jonathan Davies, I know him. I don't know him, but I know his name. You know, all these guys are just immense. Like the vocals, and I'm as much into singing as I am into playing guitar. I'm probably
I can
equally
totally
as bad at
appreciate
either of those
vocalists.
things, but I really love like awesome vocalists. So I think that's something that seems to have been kind of lost on me at the time somewhat. But I think only now looking back, you realise things like how good the vocals were in Linkin Park. You know, you I don't know why it didn't strike me at the time, but I think it's just because
Chester Bennington, God rest his soul,
I know.
was. I mean, it was. I think it was Shinoda who was the guy that did the rapping in Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Anybody correct me if I'm wrong, but Chester Bennington, his vocals were. I mean, he was singing from his feet. That was.
yeah.
And I mean, the thing is, as well, if you've ever seen the guy, he was a tiny little fella.
It's really little, yeah.
But the noise that came out, I mean, honest, I think one of the things as well that got me about new metal was the real passion behind. I mean, you could see these guys, and that's one of the other things kind of why new metal appealed to me, because I was round about 28, 29 when that came out. And a lot of these bands were the same age as me.
Yeah.
You know, so they'd listen to the same stuff coming up as me. You know, I'm like the same age as Fred Durst and the guys in Limp Bizkit and the guys in Korn and stuff. And, you know, there was a bit of an older element as well to new metal. It was, you know, it wasn't like 18 and 19-year-olds doing it. These bands had slogged
They had.
to get where they were.
And they all like looked a bit older, I think, as well. Like Serge from System of a Down.
Yeah, Serge is...
He looked
There's another voice. Wow.
What I know. And that one actually blew my mind because I've never listened to any System of a Down before. So
Really?
So BYOB. That's the first time I've ever actually listened to any System.
Do you know
of a
what?
Down.
Anybody in the chat who knows System of a Down, if you were going to introduce somebody to System of a Down, what song would you pick? Because I really struggled with this one. I picked BYOB, but I was thinking of Chop Suey, but I'm like, nah, is that too obvious? Or
It's not obvious to me because I don't know any of their stuff, but I remember. So this was in kind of 2001, 2002. I was on a year abroad, but I had a guitar with me, so took my acoustic guitar with me, and I played in open mic nights in pubs and stuff because that's just what I like to do. And in my halls where I was living in France, there were these cards up saying, like, you know, these guys were starting a band, and if anyone wants to, like, come along and, you know, join, bring a guitar or whatever and have a jam sort of thing. They said, oh, it had this like basement area in the halls where you could just use it for whatever you want, I guess. And it just said, like, come along to this like jam that we're having on Saturday afternoon kind of thing. So I was like, cool, that sounds pretty awesome. I'm going to go along to that. Took my acoustic guitar. And it was a bit like bringing a spoon to a knife fight. Like, because they were like, cool, do you know System of a Down? And then, like, these guys had these, like, one had like a headless guitar and stuff. It might have even been a 7-string. I don't know. It was something I'd never seen before.
Seven strings got really. I mean, Steve.
And he was just like, you know, went off, and I was just like, do you know any Green Day?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well that pop punk. Oh, Stacey's in the chat. We've got a new one in the chat. Hi. Oh, Stacey, right? Stacey's from Twitter. Yeah, we interacted a little bit on Twitter today. Hi, Stacey. Thanks for joining in. It's always nice to see new people in the chat. So yeah, it's awesome to have you here. Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the 7-string, I mean, we're guitar nerds, so we're going to talk about guitars a bit. I mean, Steve Vai was one of the first guys that made the 7-string popular with the Gem 777 and all that and everything. And Head and Monkey, who are the two guitar players in Korn, were both huge Ibanez guys, and right. You know, they were using this down-tuned 7 strings to get that real.
Well, this is it. That's another one of those things that I think connects a lot of these bands in the genre. Is it's very focused on the down-tuned guitars and these very heavy down-tuned riffs. That this is why they sound so powerful. I think is because they're all these really detuned, and you can do it on a 6-string, but it's obviously better to have a 7-string because
100%. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not a 7-string guy.
How do you classify Kiss?
Kiss is homoerotic pop.
Yeah.
Okay. And basically, I needed it. I was wanting to record something with that real kind of blah, blah, blah sound, and I ended up buying a 7-string guitar, and I just bought a cheap one, a Harley Benton, actually.
Oh, that's the one you've just got, isn't it?
This one is... No, I've had this about a year now, this one.
Oh, have you?
This is a nice guitar. Do you know how much that was? 140 quid.
That's incredible, actually. It looks
brand
really
new,
nice.
Delivered. Oh, it plays amazing as well.
I mean, you wouldn't, you know, you can't get a 7-string Ibanez for much less than 300-400.
But I would get, you know, now I know how to play one, and I know I enjoy playing one. I would spend. In fact, I've just ordered. I bought one off a friend, the Jackson with the Nazgul pickups. So, it's exciting.
Well,
classify for Red Hot.
I would call them funk.
Or funk
rock.
Funk rock, yeah.
And actually, I was going to say about them a little bit, just because, like, one of the things, this list has really helped me to focus on, like, what were the elements that I think might have been putting me off in the beginning. And I've never been into rap for a kickoff. So a lot of these songs, they have a rap section, or and that's kind of part of the genre, as this fusion with kind of rap and metal. And I've never been particularly, I've never been particularly into rap, but I loved the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and a lot of what they did. I mean, basically, he's not even really singing a lot of the time. He is kind of rapping.
Right, I'm
It's
going to hold my
rhythmic
hands.
kind of talking.
Yeah, I'm going to hold my hands up here and say I'm not a huge Chili Peppers fan. I mean, I get them. I get why people like them, but I've never been. And I mean, they've done a couple of great songs, but I've never been.
They were
mad
better
on
with
the
Dave
Chili Peppers.
Navarro, I think. I'm more of a fan of him than
For me,
Frusciante.
Chili Peppers are made by Flea.
Yeah.
The bass playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anthony Kiedis, I can take or leave him. The rest of them, yeah. But Flea is an awesome bass player.
I think Chad is pretty awesome as well. It's the groove, isn't it? It's the bass and the drum.
Oh, Will Ferrell, the drummer.
Will Ferrell.
Their drummer, Will Ferrell.
He does look like him now. He does.
Well, the thing is, right? I mean, I'm not a big rap hip hop fan. Now, I do like a lot of the very, very early classic gangster rap. NWA, Public Enemy, Ice-T. These guys that started it were really badass.
Yes,
I mean, have you heard a band called Body Count?
No, I haven't, but I do see what you're saying about like proper, like or the original kind of rap.
Yeah, the original. I mean, the rap today
I was too young for, so like in the 80s when you were listening to that, you were in your teens probably, whereas like I was a little kid, so I didn't listen to any of that. And by the time, by the end of the 80s and early 90s, rap was very cheesy, because that became mainstream and popular. But it became MC Hammer, like it was very, very cheesy.
Yeah, no, that was. I mean, the thing is, Jim will back me up here. I'm only referencing Jim because I know Jim and I know Jim's taste in music. One of the first ever rock rap crossovers was Anthrax in 1985, and they did a track called "I'm the Man." And Anthrax, Scott Ian, who was in Anthrax, was a huge Public Enemy fan. And then later on, they did another thing with Public Enemy called Bring the Noise, which is a brilliant track, well worth listening to. Jim's dissing Body Count, but I'm not
Dollar General version. Is that like Poundland? Are they the Poundland version?
Yeah, that's Poundland. Yeah. But if you dislike the Police and you like heavy metal music, then Body Count are the band for you. Attack of the Killer Bees, what an album. It's still not as good as Among the Living though. We need to get you onto some 80s thrash, Joe. I think you'll like that.
Maybe that's the missing link. I don't know. I like sort of old school metal, but when I talk about that, I'm probably talking about like Iron Maiden, Megadeth, Metallica.
Yeah, you see, you've kind of missed. This is the thing you've missed out, because you've gone straight from the new wave of British heavy metal in the early 80s, which was Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, UFO, Saxon, and then you've kind of jumped to Guns N' Roses in 87, and you've missed out a whole genre of real energetic balls to the. I mean, like Jim will back me up. Nuclear Assault, Sepultura, Stormtroopers of Death. These were Indians, NFL. Oh, Indians is an awesome. You need to go and listen to Indians by Anthrax. It's brilliant. Anthrax were as well one of the first heavy metal bands with a social conscience. So, the Indians is about, them having the land taken away by, the Americans and everything.
Oh, wow. Right.
And
yeah. And that's the thing that's actually a thing that I was going to say as well about all these kind of, these new metal tracks, is that I felt like quite a lot of them seem to be quite upfront with their like political views. I really like that. Like I think that like that BYOB, oh, you know, that song being a kind of quite in your face, making a point about sending, you know, you always send the poor off to wars and stuff. Like, wow, I love that kind of thing. You know, I love it when bands will sort of.
I don't know. I mean,
Make a point like that.
I'm not a politics guy. I mean, one of my pet hates is politics. It's like, get a life, come on, dude. But I think
You know,
when
if they've got a serious point and they feel passionately about it, I think
that's the
it's
thing
best
where I can give
music.
it a buy is if these guys have got the passion, then I think it shows through in the music too. You know, that's God, there's a lot of Guns N' Roses hate going on in the chat at the moment.
So that's all right. I'll give them a pass. I won't take
I
offence.
saw Guns N' Roses in 1985, supporting a band called Faster Pussycat in Nottingham Rock City, and Faster Pussycat destroyed them. I just want that out there.
Yeah, well, they needed time. You know, it was early. They needed.
I
sort of to
think
get
I was 15.
together.
I'd snuck out to go and see that one. Right. So, I think especially, no matter what genre, if somebody's like feels really strongly about something and they put that into the music, you know, then, you know, it can make a huge difference to the music. I mean, like Ice-T's disdain for the police comes through Willie Rolling Cop Killer. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and exactly, and they're making points about what they believe in. And I think when we were talking before about saying about how the vocals are really powerful and kind of passionate in this genre and in these bands, and I think at least some of it is that's because it's coming from that kind of place.
Right. Well, before we started this little experiment, Joe was not a fan of nu metal. We need to get back to nu metal because honestly, we could just do a stream every night on the different genres of rock music. But before we started this little experiment, Joe was not a fan of nu metal.
I've just ignored it. I've ignored its existence for the last 20 years.
Do you regret something, Joe, that you want to share with us?
Well, I think one of the kind of things I can say looking back now is that I think at the time you think, well, rock is always going to be around, guitar music's always going to be around, so I'm not that fussy about this thing. Let's wait and see what crops up next. And then, of course, nothing. Like this nu metal is the last time that guitar-based heavy metal kind of music is popular, and that's it. And had I known that it was going to be gone, I think I would have taken it a bit more seriously.
I think the difference is, I mean, there's a lot of guitar, you know, a lot of new guitar music. Me and Jim were talking about this last Wednesday about, you know, the new genres of metal and everything. But definitely nu metal was the last genre of rock music or metal music that went mainstream.
That was
and
huge.
You know,
Yeah.
it was getting rotation on MTV. Back when MTV used to play music.
You couldn't walk into a shop and not hear Crawling by Linkin Park. Like every bar, every shop, all, you know, you walk past an open window, Crawling was blaring out of it, like in kind of 2002. I remember that being just everywhere at the time. And I did like that, actually. I did really like that track. But I didn't sort of latch on to them and then listen to more of their stuff. Because I suppose what I'm saying is that you just kind of took it for granted and you were just like, oh yeah, this is reasonable, but I guess let's see what comes next. And then nothing came next.
I mean, Hybrid Theory, which was Linkin Park's big album, I mean, that album went, that went stratospheric, and like you could put MTV on, or, you know, VH1, or, you know, any of or Kerrang, and you could guarantee within an hour Linkin Park would be played 4 times. You know, and it was just various songs off the hybrid theory. They were huge. But anyway, let's get on to the little list that I gave you. And you can talk about some of the songs. So, chat, if I've missed off any songs from this, I mean, wait till she gets to the end, obviously. But if I've missed off any of the songs that you think would have been a great introduction, or you know, to convert somebody to new metal, then you know, drop the songs that you were on about in the chat. Okay, Joe.
Cool. So
take it away.
The first one was Down with the Sickness by Disturbed. So I thought this was actually really a great riff, and obviously that's what I love because I love guitar music, and this is a great guitar riff, really funky as well, and I know this is going to upset or offend people, but I don't care. It made me think of a little bit of Give It Away by the Chili Peppers. You probably won't know that
I'm
one,
sure
Andy.
Dan Donegan will be very happy to be compared to
But it did
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
just in that, like, the groove of it, really. But it's an absolutely banging chorus. It's a great vocal, and obviously he's a great singer. And I made a note that I thought the guitar tone is interesting because I sort of remembered these things being a bit more like kind of sludgy and heavy, but actually it was quite crunchy in tone.
If you ever want
like
the Dan Donegan tone, Dan Donegan, the main guitarist in Disturbed, uses a Digitech pedal, the Weapon.
and what does that do? What type of
That
effect?
just gives him that really crunchy, crispy.
It was, yeah, it's lovely. I
mean, you can
thought it was
feel
so
it.
cool. Yeah, absolutely. So I was like, hey, this is off to a good start. So I kind of thought, right, which way is it gonna go? You know, is this gonna be like, oh, I really like this, and the rest of them are crap, or you know?
That's the thing as well with this list that I gave you. I didn't put them in any particular order. It was just as they came to me. So yeah, just want it noticed that this list that Joe's got is not in any particular order.
No, not at all. But I wanted it to be kind of random in a way because I wanted like a good, I suppose, a good
smorgasbord.
Yeah, little sample.
A smorgasbord of
yeah.
So new metal tapas.
Yeah, and I just thought, you know, first of all, I thought, I wonder how many of these I'm going to actually be able to listen all the way through. And actually, all of them. So there's, like I say, there's only one in here that I did know it already, but I thought I'd try and give it another listen. And I got about halfway through and went, oh no, he's such a douche. But anyway, we'll get
dying to know which song it is.
It's much later on. But anyway, yeah, so that was awesome. I thought Disturbed, and I actually went off and had a little look because I wanted to see what they were like live, which I kind of did with all of these really. So I listened to. So I first of all listened to the studio track, you know, and then I listened to them live, and oh my god, like I would love to go and see them live. They look amazing.
You just know you'd end up in a pit though. That's
because I have to be at the front, so I'd probably be killed. Yeah.
So marks out of 10 for Disturbed as a new metal band.
What would I give it? I'd probably give it 8.
Ooh,
because
that's a good start.
That's what I thought, because it's not my favourite on the list, but it is up there.
I'm dying to know what your favourite is as well. It's like Christmas. It's like I get to unwrap little presents.
We'll get there. So yeah, I was a bit nervous then about about the next one, because I was like, oh, is it going to be as good?
But before we get to the next one, anybody in the chat or anybody that's watching, if you want to rate
The drums at the beginning, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, anybody in the chat wants to give Disturb marks out of 10, then feel free. Right, let's
Just
go.
on that track though, because I haven't heard any of their other stuff, but I did listen to their cover of they did a cover of Sound of Silence, which
That's unbelievable.
that was awesome. I was like, well, I love Simon and Garfunkel. I love that song because who doesn't?
His voice though on that, I think
Yeah, I did think how are they going to do this, because it's obviously two, it's usually two singers to do the harmonies and stuff. Jim, 4, what?
Jim's taste in music is pretentious. He likes Tesseract.
That cover of Sound of Silence is pretty pretentious, Jim. It was,
That
might be
honestly,
up
I still
your
get goosebumps when I listen to that, and I've heard it a million times, and I hear it.
That was good. That was
oh
good.
my god! Right, so
sparse and lovely. Anyway, so yeah, the next track that you had for me was "Wait and Bleed" by your friends and
Oh
mine.
no, I changed it. I changed it to Spit It Out.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I sent you a revised list with Spit It Out on.
Well, I must have been working off of the other one then.
Right, it's okay. It's all right because that's the only song that's different. But you need to go and listen to "Spit It Out" by Slipknot.
Well, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen to some more Slipknot, right? Because
you want to watch
rock.
Slipknot download in 2009 doing "Spit It Out." It's mind blowing.
I'll make a note of that particular performance. But I thought I was kind of prepared for it to be like, for some reason I thought Slipknot would be sort of like just noise. I thought it was going to be one of those that is like just and just kind of like loud, repetitive, kind of heavy noise. So I was like, I was surprised. I was really surprised by what they were actually like. The first thing is I thought the vocals so clean. He's got almost quite a like pop sounding voice. He could
Corey Taylor can sing.
He can really sing, really, but he's got a really nice tone to his voice, and it was a really interesting melody as well. Like, it has a proper melody line that is really unpredictable. Like, you don't know exactly what it's going to do in this track. It's really, your ear really wants to follow it because it's not predictable at all. But the guitars, again, really good tone. That heavy kind of down-tuned thing again, but still very clean. Like, it's not sludgy or just noisy. You can actually hear, and I think actually this might be a thing about the production in nu metal. It's very kind of modern sounding, so you don't get fuzzy, distorted sort of stuff. It's quite clear, like you can hear what all the different instrumentation on the track is doing.
If you sit with a pair of headphones on and listen to it, you can hear what each guitar's doing, you can hear what the bassist is doing, but it all comes together nicely. I think that's
really
one of the things that put me off
about
one of the things that put me off about grunge and stuff was the fact that to me it sounded very muddy.
Yes, and a lot of that is intentional. So, like, a lot of that,
totally.
On like Alice in Chains stuff, Dave Jordan, the producer, that's what he was going for. That's the sound. That's what they wanted. So whether you think that's good or bad, that it's not.
I think it's very bad. I think it's.
And I know you think it's bad.
I would rather listen to the long drawn-out death rattle of a man suffering from terminal flatulence than listen to grunge. I just want that noted.
I'm going to get you into Alice in Chains, by the way. But
no,
anyway,
you're not. I've listened to it. It's shit. It sucks. It sucks and it blows. That's how bad it is.
Jerry Cantrell. You play guitar. You don't think Jerry Cantrell is a good guitar?
He can play guitar. I just don't like his music. Anyway, go on.
We're not going to go off down that rabbit hole. But as opposed to that, the production on these tracks is just, it's a world away from that, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and I was quite kind of surprised by how clean everything kind of sounds, I suppose, because my ears are used to listening to like Nirvana, Alice
Yeah.
in Chains, Guns N' Roses, all the 80s kind of stuff, which is all a bit, they're all using kind of crappy old kind of tube amps because they like it, because they think it sounds like nice and warm and fuzzy and whatnot. But
That's another thing, and Jim will back me up here. A lot of these new metal bands and everything, they used solid state amps.
That's what I can hear. I think that's why I'm like, wow, the clarity of this music is, I can hear everything, and I'm not used to hearing all of that.
I think the thing as well with like bands like Slipknot, especially, is that it kind of has an aggression to it that. Yeah, I know Wes used both, Jim. We'll get to that in a minute. We're not on Limp Bizkit yet.
There.
Jim's like, yeah, but there was tube amps in new metal. There was tube amps in new metal, because Jim's Swedish. Yeah, I forgot where I was going now. I was just like dissing Jim.
They use solid state amps. Probably like, because it's so much more up to date, like more modern recording methods and technology, and probably a lot of like. I'm gonna say they probably.
The thing about Slipknot and a lot of the new metal is, for me, I really enjoy the aggression in the music.
And it comes across. It comes across because it cuts through. Because you can hear the lyrics. You can hear what he's singing about. And they really enunciate.
When I'm listening to, Yeah, but when I'm listening to something, when I'm listening to music, I want to feel that music. And there's so many bands that you listen to these days, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's all right. But then you hear something, you go, oh my god, I can feel that.
I wrote about this particular track. I bet this is absolutely killer at a festival. I bet that
it's to die for. Slipknot are amazing live.
But like, I can imagine, especially like at a massive festival or something. I can just, that particular track. I bet that absolutely rips. And I kind of like, it's just not what I was expecting. I just thought it would be a lot of like growly
noise.
shouty.
I mean, there is. I mean, the thing is, right, I'm not a huge screamo.
He does it sometimes, but not all the time.
It's like he does it when it's appropriate.
Yeah. It's very. It fits in very well with the track. It does what the song, what the song needs, not just kind of beginning to end, which is kind of what I was expecting a bit more. So, but no, he's got a great voice, and I thought I really thought that was a great track. Drums really good again, and that's another thing about all of this, is that the late great
Joey Jordison.
That was
Joey.
Wow.
I mean, all the drummers Slipknot have been amazing, but Joey Jordison was the original one, and I don't know, there was just something about Joey's playing that was on another level. He was. It
doesn't sound like it should be humanly possible, right? Like,
no, it doesn't.
What they're doing, and I was like,
you watch him when he's playing live, upside down as well, doing that. It's
some
insane.
People are just like superhuman, aren't they? You just think, how are they doing that? But it's all super tight, It's this really. It's got the aggression, it's got the attitude and everything, but it is the musicianship of these bands, but particularly of Slipknot. It's so tight. They are on it, and I guess you can't be a little bit sloppy and play in Slipknot. You can't get away with it. You can't be bloody Jimmy Page, playing in Slipknot.
I wonder if I can, because I mean the thing is as well, right? I did this on this channel tonight. so that I could maybe share music. I don't know if this will work. Let me know if you can hear this.
Welcome to Reverb. If it's music gear, it's here. Shop for music.
I can hear it. I don't know if anyone else
music
can.
Shops across the UK.
Can everybody in the chat, can you hear this song? Can you hear the Slipknot video that I was just playing there? Come on, Jim. James. I think if you can hear it, Joe, I think everybody else can hear it. Right, let me...
Tonight.
I can hear it.
Would you like one more song?
So this is the performance.
And I need to know.
2009
I need
download.
to know.
Yeah, this is the one from download.
Then the time has come to make the fucking myths. It's time for all of us to you never gave a damn in the first place. Maybe it's time to win the tables turn. Can he interest the evolving on the problem solve? But this guilt in man, I can't find it. We have been a dream. Not capital. You have been from the game, so you made over. Some good super risk, got him enough, and I don't in the thought. It's another one. Round into memories, it's been a gun. Jump to me, I spin. I got paid for shit. Jumping in the dark, I'm jumping in this shit. It's a winner with a fire through the north. When something's standing against your man. Gonna be that way if you want it. Send me little for me, I'm not. Just shut me down. I want to step you out. I want to shut me down. I want to step you out. Maybe it's the way that's better. I move by giving out this button.
How many drums has he got?
He's got a load, but we'll just take it up to this bit. 'Cause this
Amazing.
And on my signal, unleash hell. Joey, let's take these motherfuckers home, man. That's how I set this fucking straight. Cause I don't get no but I'm looking at me, I race singing my bitch, I'm on their fears. Where you gonna be in the next 10 years? Cooling all the food, all the ball grades, gonna never run, gonna guy, gonna make shit. You got sick when they've been out the good. Family singing me, jump the fuck up. Moving the memories, moving the memories, moving the memories,
Oh my God, what's going on? What is going
That's
on?
crazy, isn't it?
What the hell? Is he
can't believe
like
you've never seen that.
rotating on a like? Have they picked him up and kind of?
Yeah,
spinning
they've picked him up and they're spinning him around.
Wow. Okay, I have never seen anything that mental before.
It is a good song, Jip. Yeah, you need to go and watch that video. It's unbelievable. That's the one I sent you to watch the second time. But
Okay, I got the other one for some reason, but I think it's sounds equally as good.
it is.
That's absolutely nuts. I mean,
It's a lot of fun.
that did look absolutely awesome, actually. So yeah, I mean, Slipknot, they're definitely like I can get now. I think the appeal, and they obviously went massive as well, and kind of that's obviously why we're still you can still walk into a shop and buy t-shirts 20 years later. So they've really gone the distance, haven't they? So
We've got Slipknot t-shirts and everything. So marks out of 10 for Slipknot. What are we giving Slipknot?
I think I'm gonna have to give them an 8 as well. So I think they're probably equal at the moment, but for different kind of reasons. to Disturbed. So, you know,
Sorry, I didn't realise Judy was in the chat. Good evening, Judy. Sorry, Judy's not a fan of Slipknot, but I think Judy's a blues lady.
Right.
So I can kind of see, but yeah, it is. I think it is definitely a generation gap there with bands like Slipknot. Jim's given Slipknot 9 out of 10, so we've beaten Disturbed.
I don't know, because for me, I think there's. I probably have to listen to more of it, but like just on the basis of these specific tracks. So it might be that I might change that if I knew a bit more of them. But yeah, just on these particular ones, maybe if I had listened to Spit It Out, maybe it would have been up to a 9. But for what was it called, Wait and Bleed, I thought that was as good, definitely. So I thought, right, well, you know,
we've got a fight in the chat. Jim's fighting with Judy. I just need to warn Jim that I think Judy's from Canada, so tread careful. Tread careful, brother. Right, who have we got next, Joe?
So next, Linkin Park, who we already know are great, but the track that I hadn't heard.
I forgot what track I picked for Linkin Park.
You gave me Points of Authority.
Shut up when I'm talking to you. Boom Slayer's in the chat. Good evening, Boom. How's it going, brother?
So this, to me, it's almost like this is what I think of when I think of new metal. Almost, it's like it's got everything, you know. So it's got the kind of rap elements. It's got the sort of scratching DJ stuff. It's really got that kind of like hip hop thing going on through it. So that was, although this was not as famous, I think it brings in a lot of those like real classic elements, and it kind of showcases it on this track. Obviously he's an incredible vocalist, and we've kind of said that already, but this track, it really kind of, I think it shows it probably more than Crawling, potentially.
Crawling, I mean, I don't know. Crawling was very well played. I mean, I think one of the most popular Linkin Park is In the End, is probably one of the more popular songs. But for me, Points of Authority that had more of a, you know, at the time, that was a bigger song than all the others. That was kind of more new metal-y.
I mean, that's what I mean. It seems, it's almost like this is the template almost, it sounds like, of this is what new metal is. The thing that, for me, kind of, the thing I'm missing in a lot of these songs, and by this track I realised what it was, is I'm really missing guitar solos. Like, none of these have got solos. And I'm a real... I love a guitar solo. Like, I'm a real sucker for a really kick-ass guitar solo. And it doesn't have to be a virtuoso thing. It doesn't have to be shreddy. It doesn't have to be sweet picking, anything like that. Just like the bloody guitar solo. Every Nirvana song has got a guitar solo, and even if you are just playing the melody, it's still a solo. And these songs have not got them.
Jim just made a good point there. Solos became pretentious for decades, and so you know, I think that was kind of like one of the things. You know, that they were trying to move away from. They were trying to make the music for for everyone.
Yeah.
And he said, it didn't have a place in nu metal, and you know, there was a lot of breakdowns in nu metal. I think they replaced the solo with a breakdown. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of both. I mean, I don't feel that a song has to have a guitar solo for it to be a good song.
I guess it doesn't, but by this, like 3 songs in, I was really thinking, I haven't heard a guitar solo yet, and I was kind of like,
I mean, at the same time, I mean, some of the stuff that the guitarists in these bands do You know, a lot of the guitar virtuosos that, you know, do the fiddly widdly fretboard wanking, you know, they couldn't do that. You know, the
No.
rhythm and the chugging. And I think, to me, that's kind of like a guitar solo in itself. I mean, especially when we get to Wes Borland in Limp Bizkit. I mean, the stuff that guy is doing in the background is next level.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I've been like really impressed, obviously, with the musicianship and the guitar playing, like in general, but it is lacking. And like one of the things about this song I thought was that it just having distinct guitar parts, like it just has, like, a lot of the time there's a riff and it'll be a really good riff, but that is kind of it. That's what you're getting in terms of guitar, and everything else is, I suppose, the role of the guitar might be a little bit less because you've got drums, you've got DJs, you've got a lot of other elements in the music, so it's not actually as reliant on the guitar as the lead element of the music. So that's probably.
But if it wasn't there, you'd know.
Oh my god! I mean, this is guitar-based music still. Obviously, we're not moving that far away from it, but it's stepping back a little bit, I think, and it's, like you say, it's a more supporting role, but it's still super tight. It's still got really great. There are some really great riffs in these tracks, and we'll come on to some of those as well. But like, for me, that was one of the things that I thought, okay, I liked it, but probably not quite as much as the first two. And that's probably one of the reasons why, because although the singing's great and everything, and it's a great song, I just thought that the guitar was a bit one-dimensional in a way. It's good, but it didn't.
The thing with Linkin Park
go
is they
anywhere.
weren't. I mean, the band revolved around the two frontmen.
Yeah.
And Mr. I can't remember, Mr. Han, the
DJ
Wiki
guy.
Wiki Wax guy,
Yeah.
Mike Shinoda, Chester Bennington, and Mr. Han, I think the guy was called, with the turntables. And you know, that was, I think, the rest of Linkin Park were just, you know, they had to be there, but
Yeah, it wasn't about that. I get that it wasn't all about that, but I think that for me, that's what makes it, I'd say, more of a. I think I'd only probably go 6 out of 10 for that one.
really okay.
Yeah,
But then
that
again,
wasn't
you're a
my
guitar
favourite.
chick.
I
You're a
am.
guitar chick, so
I'm
you know,
very much.
that's understandable. Right, what have we got next?
Interesting one. Bodies by Drowning Pool.
Right.
So
I just
talking.
got to say,
What?
Bodies by Drowning Pool is one of those songs that people either love or hate. But the reason I put Bodies in there, it was just one of those songs that was so indicative of what was going on in the new metal thing, and it kind of sums up the feeling of the new metal.
I loved it. Well, I loved it. I thought the guitars were awesome. So that's the first thing.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Yeah. So after that track, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. This is it. This is better. This is this is where I'm at. The groove, the drumming is super catchy as well. So I guess, what did people think it was, like, cheesy or something? Was it not thought to be?
I think it was just it was one of those songs that was very repetitive.
Yeah.
You know, the lyrics,
Yeah.
the same thing just over and over again, and it's just the same guitar, you know, riff over and over again. But the song has got balls.
Yeah, and it also, that makes it really accessible and really, like, easy to latch onto. Like, you start, you know, you've only heard like less than a minute of it, but you can start singing it, you know.
Yeah.
You start.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
floor.
Let the
Yeah.
bodies hit the floor.
Yeah, I love that. I love, like, that's what I loved about a band like Nirvana or something. You know, that's what I love about the Beatles. Like the accessibility of the music, of the songs. It draws you in really quickly.
Oh, here's a promise, right? And I'm gonna get Jim on this. The three of us are gonna have a Beatles stream one night.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we're gonna talk about
Oh,
the Beatles.
that'd be nice.
Okay.
Oh,
So
that's that's a nice, like, get yourself a cup of Horlicks and we'll...
yeah, a cup of tea, and
we'll have a
we'll all
chat.
sit down and talk about the Beatles one night, because I know.
that'd be lush. I'd love that.
I know Jim's a Beatles fan as well, so it'd be nice to have all three of us on and chat about the Beatles.
Yeah, I'd love
So yeah,
that.
Drowning Pool Bodies. I forgot
was
to put
cool.
that on there actually.
No, I really enjoyed that one. So but I would probably only give it a 6 again, because it's not super complicated, I suppose. It's not. I didn't feel like it was at the level of I didn't think the vocals were at the level of they're not like a Slipknot or a Disturbed. It's good. He's a good singer, obviously, but I didn't think he was an amazing vocalist. But it was a great song, so really catchy tune. And I would like to listen to some more of their stuff if it's kind of similar to that. So I could imagine listening to like an album of bangers like that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not again. Drowning Pool aren't a band I'm super familiar with, but I remember them being quite prevalent at the time. But yeah, they were a good band, and like I say, when you've got a song like that, I mean, sometimes you get a band and they just have one song, and that was Drowning Pool's song, Bodies.
Oh, okay. All right.
But if you listen to the guitar on it,
yeah,
if you listen to the guitar on it, when he's basically coming up high and going, and he's hitting the wah pedal and everything as well, it's just like, oof, that is...
It was sick. It was absolutely, yeah, it was great fun. So I really liked that one. Now, I know this is a band that you really like, so Static X was the next one.
Right, yeah.
I've never heard of them. I've never known of their even existence. Like most of these other bands I'd heard of.
Right, Static X, a bit of an obscure one, but
yeah,
they were kind of there at the start of... They kind of crossed over... They were one of the bands that crossed industrial over into new metal.
Okay, right. Because I was gonna say, because that song didn't sound very new metal-ish to me. So the song was Push It.
Yeah, that was one of that. You see, that was right at the beginning of new metal.
Right.
So
okay.
your bands like Linkin Park, Slipknot, and all them, they kind of grew out of what Static X laid down.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, because it didn't. Yeah, it didn't really sound like the others that I'd been listening to. So it was quite different. But again,
All right,
like
R.I.P. Wayne Static. So I mean,
is he not around anymore?
Yeah, he was quite a troubled guy, Wayne Static.
Okay.
He was very fond of his recreational pharmaceuticals, and he passed away. But they've replaced him now with this robot. Wayne, honestly, it's pretty crazy, but it's very respectfully done.
Okay. I mean, this is my big fear actually about the way things are going with AI and music. I'm actually
He's not a real robot.
I'm afraid that they're gonna start we're basically just gonna have like zombies of dead musicians because AI can now.
I think I'd be all right with zombies. I mean, like proper zombies, not just like made up ones. Like if they went and dug somebody up and put them on stage, like reanimated them like Frankenstein, I would probably be interested in going to see that. But no, I mean, all this stuff with holograms and stuff, I am not okay with it. I don't think.
I'm not okay with it. No, Jim's not okay with it. So
No, the
know.
whole AI thing. I mean, it's like this thing of like, oh yeah, we're going to bring Michael Jackson. I mean, why bring Michael Jackson back? The kids aren't safe as it is. We don't need Michael Jackson back. I mean, I know it's all alleged and everything, but yeah, that's ignorant. That's ignorant. I just called a dead man out on the stream. I'm sorry, everyone.
See, this is why this is why it's wrong. So yeah, Static X. What did I think? I thought playing was really good. Good riff. And the singer had quite a. So what was he called? Wayne.
Wayne Static, yeah.
I think he had a very different kind of delivery, which doesn't hit in the same way. You know that we've been talking about the kind of the kind of really super passionate and impactful, powerful delivery.
I think
it's not that.
I say Static X have got more of. I mean, they've got more of an industrial feel to them, but like I say, they were a very important band in the formative years of new metal.
It was interesting. It was definitely interesting. I'd like to probably listen to some more of them. So if you'd like tell me what
they've got a track
albums.
called I'm with Stupid. That's a really good song. That's definitely worth checking out.
But I thought it was good. It was just it didn't seem to fit the mold, if you like. So and that makes sense now because like you've explained why. So but it wasn't.
I just wanted to get a Static X song in there because I really like Static X.
So I'd probably give that a 7 because I liked it. I thought it was good.
Oh, cool.
It just wasn't like I just didn't see how. Yeah.
Never drive and listen to Static X.
Well, you could say that about a lot of things. I mean, with my driving, I shouldn't be driving. So.
I hate driving.
So do I. That's why I drive an EV. But that's a different conversation because that keeps everyone a lot safer from my driving.
Is it one of them ones that'll only do 25 miles an hour as well? I can see you on those little spacker chariot.
Can do if you set it on your phone. But anyway, yeah, that's a different kind of conversation. But yeah, then so we've come now to the point where we've got to the one where I was like, I do know this one. I have heard it before, but I was willing to give it the benefit of the doubt and give it another listen. And I got to the chorus and I was just like, no,
who is it?
I can't. Limp Bizkit, My Way. He's such a whiny, objectionable douche, and I was just like, I can't listen to Fred Durst telling me to check the quality. Like, oh my god, it was
check the melody. Right, what you need to do, right? Jim likes limping with the biscuit.
And even their name, I mean, come on. We know where the name comes from.
It was designed to make you dislike the band. That was because if people can get past the name, then I mean, there's a whole thing about Limp Bizkit. I mean, they were geniuses, marketing geniuses.
It didn't make me want to buy their music. It made me really put off of them. Like,
yeah, again, Limp Bizkit are kind of like like a frat boy kind of rock thing. But Wes Borland, the guitar player, that guy can play.
He can, and I will say, like, so I did listen to, like, up to the chorus, and then I just couldn't get past it. But one of the things, again, that kind of struck me that I probably didn't notice at the time was the production and how good it sounds. It just actually sounds very, very modern, I think, and it doesn't sound dated. And I just thought, oh, actually, this is pretty cool. And the guitar tone that was on there was really nice.
I think what I'd suggest you to do, right, is go and listen to their second album, Significant Other, and just listen to the layered guitar parts on that, and it will blow your mind. And the bass lines, I mean, Sam Rivers, the bass player, is something else. The stuff he is doing. I think maybe go and listen to Reserve. I mean, just you need to take Fred's.
I know, but when he's like, "Oh, my way or the highway," I'm like, "Well, definitely the highway, definitely." Like,
you see, I loved Limp Bizkit when they were out. I mean, that was they I just like Limp Bizkit. But yeah, Wes Ball and Sam Rivers, John Otto, the drummer, is absolutely unbelievable. Right, I'm gonna try and play something here.
I mean, I get that Wes Borland is a great guitarist because I hear it all the time. Like, everyone's always going on about him. It's a shame he didn't do something else or join another band or something.
Right, I'm gonna see if I can change your mind for Limp Bizkit here. Okay.
I'm open to listening to some more stuff. I'd heard that song before, and I've heard Rolling, obviously, because everyone has, but nothing else really. So
let's get back together. I miss you.
Okay.
If only we could fly. Limp Bizkit style. John Otto, take him to the Matthews Bridge. Can you feel it? A generation. Get up! A generation. Are you ready? Do you know where you are? Welcome to the jungle, punk. Take a look around. It's Limp Bizkit up your town. We downloaded the shockwave for all the ladies in the cave to get your groove on. And maybe I'm the one who flew over the cuckoo's nest. Well, guess who's next? Generation X, Generation Strange. So don't even shine through our window pane. So go ahead and talk about me. And go ahead and talk about my generation. 'Cause we don't give a fuck again. We won't ever give a fuck again. Till you give a fuck about me and my generation. Hey kid, take my advice. You don't wanna step into a big.
I can
do you
definitely
think,
hear what
I
you
mean-
mean. Like in the bass and the drums, like definitely.
Honestly, if you sit down and listen to it, it is
And Jim,
absolutely unbelievable.
that's a good point about pick an instrument to listen to throughout a whole album. Well, I usually do listen to the guitar more than anything, really, because I just that's just what I do. Probably more than the vocal and the singing, really. But yeah, listening to I've been much more tuned in to bass playing and drumming recently, and I can.
I mean, John
really
Otto,
appreciate
the
it.
drummer. I mean, he was like a classically trained jazz and funk drummer and everything. And I mean, that is some serious beats he's laying down there. So yeah, maybe I could have given you a better song for.
I think it's one of those things, and I think a lot of people have it. A lot of people say the same thing about Guns N' Roses, right? A lot of people say, I would like their music. They're good. Like Slash is great and everything. Really like the guitar, but cannot get past Axl Rose.
Axl Rose is a
and
giant.
they say the same
fool.
thing. Yeah, and they say, and his voice as well. A lot of people are like, that is like nails down a blackboard. Can't listen to it. And, yeah, you know. So I get that, because that's a band that I love. Could listen to at any time of any time of day. Don't care about what an idiot Axl Rose is. I think it's quite funny.
I loved Guns N' Roses when they first came out. I saw Guns N' Roses in '87 at Donington. I was like 16, 17 when Appetite first came out, and I mean that was, oof. And I was a huge Guns N' Roses fan, but I mean nowadays it just seems a bit tame to me. I mean, I still appreciate
at the things in context. So when at the time it had a certain vibe and we were younger, and now it's a whole different time and things have moved on. And so you're going to look back and think, oh, that was pretty tame and whatnot. But like,
Judy liked my impression of Axl Rose. I can do the dance as well.
It's a weird.
Where do we go?
What is he doing? Like, that's such a weird move. No, like this. It's worse than. It's not even dad dancing. It's. I don't know even what it is.
Axl Rose, his little snake hips.
It's his little.
Anyway, let's move on from my generation, because Limp Bizkit are
I will
a
try
very polarizing band.
I'll try to revisit it, and I think it's just him. It is literally just him. Is my problem.
Fred is a giant douche. He really is. But I think and listen to the guitars and the drums and the bass and everything. It's pretty special music. They had to be that big for a reason.
He can't sing like all these other guys. They can really sing. He can't sing. But anyway, I will endeavour to not listen to him and try to kind of focus on what else is going on in the music, because
the thing is, you're not going to like if we all like the same thing. I've said this before. If we all like the same thing, then life would be very boring.
Honestly, that's the only one, like, of 10 that just I couldn't kind of make it through, and all the others I was pretty into. So like the next one, Korn, Freak on a Leash. That
nothing is sicker than the breakdown.
That's another of these bands that, like, of course they were huge, they were massive, but I don't think honestly, I know it's surprising, but I don't think I'd ever heard a Korn song.
Korn I loved Korn when they were out.
Passed me by completely. But he was another one that I was surprised by. I was very surprised by this really quite sort of nice voice that he has. It's really quite lovely, almost like a pop boy band sort of voice that he's got. That then he can flip, into that kind of whatever it is, growly.
I mean, I've seen Korn live as well, and I mean the show that they put on.
I mean, I just thought I thought the music, everything, it was like really, it's super interesting. It's very dissonant, not necessarily as melodic maybe as some of the other things that were on this list, and I thought they were making quite interesting use of samples, maybe some drum loops and things.
That was that was something that was very prevalent in the new metal genre. Was that there was a lot of soundscaping going on in Limp Bizkit. It was
really
DJ Lethal. There's turntables in Slipknot, Linkin Park. It was a massive part of that. There was all these soundscapes.
It's a really cool sound, and I thought that the actual, when you said, go back at the beginning, that you had been a fan of Rage Against the Machine, I thought, the sort of pre-chorus bit, if you can call it that, in this track, it sounds a little bit Killing in the Name of, in the way that it builds before he just goes demented.
They've got these guys with turntables and they're doing the samplings, but I mean that was the stuff that Tom Morello was, doing with his guitar.
Yeah, he was making those scratchy kind of like
exactly. So they you've got to think that they're a 4-piece, and a lot of these new metal bands are like 5 and 6-piece bands.
Like they're more than that, aren't they? How many have they got?
Don't even start with Slipknot. There's about 500 of them.
20.
But you can see the influence that what Tom Morello was doing on the band.
I thought very much in that track that was the thing that it reminded me of probably the most. And then there's this just complete kind of demented, like he just kind of really goes all out, and it's just kind of really crazy. But I thought particularly the bass playing was amazing in that track as well. Love it.
Sorry, Korn, a very, very bass-heavy band, and the two guitarists, Ted and Monkey, the sounds that they make, and they're doing all these little ding ding, just these haunting little melodies, and then cranking the distortion in, and
that's it. It's the way it sort of flips between one thing and another in these kind of tracks, and it's really you don't ever know where it's going. So it's not like a little predictable nursery rhyme kind of like an A-B kind of.
It can be going along nice and slow, and then the next thing it's like just running in and punching you in the face, and then running out again like a panda bear.
It does feel a little bit like that, a little bit, because you're just sort of like, oh yeah, this is cool, and then okay, what was that?
It's the way forward. Yeah, I'm glad you like.
I loved
There's
it.
actually a video of Korn and Slipknot doing "Sabotage" by the Beastie Boys live.
Oh, I bet that would be great. Actually, I like
amazing.
Cool. Cool.
It's on YouTube. Just put Korn, Slipknot, Sabotage. It's brilliant. It's one of my favourite crossovers. But again, Beastie Boys, Sabotage. That song could have been a new metal song.
Almost couldn't it? They are almost like the proto sort of.
Yeah,
because they were doing that rap rock thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Beasties fan.
They were cool. They were really cool. See, I didn't have a problem with rap when it was the Beastie Boys. So I don't know.
Maybe you're just racist, Joe.
Maybe I am.
That's what it is.
I don't like all these white dudes doing this rap. But speaking of which,
okay.
so I give that. That's an 8. That's another 8.
Ooh,
strong,
solid 8 for Korn.
That's a strong 8.
Korn with a backwards K.
Yeah, and also don't like how they got their band name as well. It's just gross. But anyway, let's not.
So sometimes you shouldn't think about stuff like that. That's all I'm going to say.
Don't overthink.
Right.
Stuff.
So who have we got next? Moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly on. So we were talking about earlier on about how some of these guitar riffs and stuff, they don't like, it doesn't need solos because they've got these like amazing virtuoso kind of guitar parts, and this is awesome. This one, Last Resort, Papa Roach. At the beginning, the do
you know how easy that is to play?
I imagine it. I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna learn it. Do you need a 7-string though, or is it
no? It's drop D for the. Actually, you can play it. You can play it on a 6-string in E, because the riff is just like. Can't remember what it goes there.
That's it. Yeah. Oh, it's so good though.
But then for the chorus, you need the drop D for the.
Yeah, that's one of those that gets in your head, that gets stuck in your head. That's one that, like, yeah, it's a really strong song overall. But it's really kind of, the chorus it's just an absolute banger, isn't it? So I love the guitars, and they do that classic start with the chorus. Like, that's a super pop move, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
start with the chorus. That's
I mean, the thing is as well. I mean, they had a couple of good songs on that album. I think it was Between Angels and Demons or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, they had some great songs.
It's good songwriting. I actually thought about that one, but I thought it's and he's got a really good delivery. You know, it's angsty. It's got that thing.
He can sing, but he can scream as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he can still do that as well, because I saw him live with
that's
Evanescence,
a question,
actually.
isn't it? A lot of these guys have they knackered their voices, or can they still do it?
Yeah, no, he's I can't remember the guy's name. If anyone can remember the singer out of Papa Roach's name. But yeah, they were never one of my favourite bands, but that was one of my favourite songs from that. You know, if that comes on the radio now or on one of my playlists, it's like that one gets turned up because it's such a good song.
It's just a great riff, and opening with the chorus, and it's a great chorus, and it's super memorable. It's catchy, so it's got a hell of a lot going for it. But yeah, I hadn't really heard of them. I don't think they were one of the bigger, were they? I don't.
Had you not heard?
No, Papa Roach.
You'd never
not really.
heard.
No.
So that was the first time you had heard "Cut My Life into Pieces. This is my last resort." That must have blown you away.
Yeah, it did. I really liked it. I thought it was,
Wow.
that's what I say. It was like it was in my head for ages. Like I was going around the house.
Everybody knew that song.
This is my last resort. No, I didn't know it. So I thought,
My God, you must be living under a rock right now.
this is it. This is what I've been telling you. So there were very few of these songs that I'd actually heard,
Wow.
or the bands that are the bigger ones I'd heard, like Limp Bizkit. I'd heard not Limp Bizkit,
I mean,
Linkin Park. I'd
that
heard Crawling.
song is nearly 25 years old. That's been out, and
I don't think it must have not got a lot of like radio play or.
massive. Anybody in the chat hasn't heard of Last Resort by Papa Roach, let me know. I'll be gobsmacked, because that on MTV that was played every third song for about a year. That was just huge.
I don't know. It's a new one on me anyway. But I definitely that's going on some playlists for
I
sure.
am so happy that you found a song like that you've never heard before. My
Yeah.
work here is done.
So that one, those guys, I'm going to give them a 7, just because I don't think it's at musically the level of like the other ones that I've given 8 to. But
I don't think it needed to be.
It didn't need to be, did it? It's a straightforward. It's quite poppy, in a way, which I like. You know, I love that. But it's still got all the new metal like features, and it's got that rap kind of thing, or the delivery of the spoken kind of delivery in the verses and stuff, and the chorus as well, actually. So it's not the greatest singing I've ever heard, but like you say, it doesn't need to be, because it just gets in there.
It fits the song.
So
What a song.
that was really cool, and very melodic.
What have we got next?
And
It is.
So speaking of melodic, this is obviously the most melodic one on this list. "Bring Me to Life" by Evanescence. So
What a song.
I did know this, and actually, I had their album. I bought their album on the strength of that song when that came out. I did buy their album because, like, at the time, it blew me away. And when I listened to it again, just the opening piano chord, like the little piano arpeggio, I started getting physical goosebumps. And when she started singing, I was just sort of like, I just went all tingly, just completely
Well,
tingly.
this is going to be a real treat for you because recently Amy Lee did that song at one of the big festivals with the guy from Papa Roach doing the male vocals.
Awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
Oh, brilliant. I'm going to have to look that up now because, I mean, she's one of the great female rock metal singers, vocalists of all time. And
I mean, that's one of the things about new metal is there wasn't a big female element in new metal. I mean, it's like when you had like grunge. I mean, you had bands like Hole and Babes in Toyland, and
there was a whole like Riot Girl thing that was going on out of Seattle at the same time, and there was the whole like post.
You didn't really get that. Dave J's checking out. Dave, thanks for joining us, man. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll probably see you on Twitter somewhere. Take it easy, man. There wasn't really a lot of female representation in the new metal thing, but again, that's what I think. It sort of like fell into that kind of frat boy. But
this is it's a different spin on new metal, isn't it? And like, it's still got some of the elements, so it's very heavy. It's still got the rap elements to it.
Yeah.
The guy bits, the kind of call and response bit.
It's got the same guitar in it as well.
It's got all of that, and the amazing production. Like that album, the production on that album is just beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's so haunting. Really genuinely haunting. So,
I think it had to. I think anything with Amy Lee's voice on it is just going to be epic. She.
Yeah,
she's so underrated though. I'm surprised that she wasn't a lot big. I don't know.
And what happened to them? Because like I did like them, and off the back of that, someone recommended to me a band called Lacuna Coil at the same around the same time. I think I'm gonna say they're maybe like Italian or something, along similar kind of lines as Evanescence. Anyway, I got their album and listened to them, and I was just like, no, that can get in the bin. It's not Amy Lee, it's
yeah. No, Jim says a lot of the newer metal's got a lot of female vocalists, and I mean it is awesome to see bands. I mean, Ginger are amazing. I mean, there's some really, really good female-fronted bands that are around now. But I mean, just round about the time when the new metal was big, it wasn't something that was. It wasn't something that was prevalent.
I can't think of any, and I was thinking actually when I was listening to this. Was she actually the last big female kind of rock singer that we've had? Like, I can't necessarily think of in the last 20 years.
Mainstream,
like who was as successful as
that was in the charts. Yeah.
Like,
possibly. I mean, we're classing mainstream as stuff that gets rotation on the radio and on the charts.
And that was huge, Evanescence.
And I mean, bands, unfortunately, bands like Ginger and Spirit. I don't know. Maybe after Gajira's showing at the Olympics, we might be getting a bit more on the radio. I don't know. It might become a bit more socially acceptable, but. Yeah, I think the band themselves, Evanescence, had a lot of issues and problems. But I mean, something that was going on at the same time as new metal was pop punk was really getting big. Bands like Good Charlotte, Blink-182,
all those.
a particularly early Green Day before American Idiot.
Yeah.
But again, there wasn't really a lot of female representation in that genre either.
Nope.
So I think it was just a sign of the times. There were plenty of big female artists.
But they weren't in rock, metal.
Oh, we had Avril. We had Avril Lavigne.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, Christ.
I don't know why she had to go and make things so complicated.
God, I can't. That's one of those, again, voices I can't I can't listen to. Just so nasal and I can't do it. But no, Amy Lee. Well, this particular track, this is one that, like, you know, it's one of those, like, sing in the shower, but only when you're on your own and your neighbours aren't in and stuff, because it's like you have to get up there and everything. You have to really give it some.
I never see it. Upsets the dogs start howling when
Yeah.
It's not a good. Even the tortoise takes exception. I don't think she has ears.
Exactly. I think that I could probably upset the tortoise by singing along to this. But I love it.
She's quite an angry tortoise, to be fair.
So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 actually. Still not 10 because it's still not the top one on this list. So I have to leave.
I thought we'd got. I thought we'd gone through all of them.
No, there's another
one more.
There's one more, and that is BYOB, System of a Down. And this literally, this just blew me away. So I never heard anything by them before. It just starts off with this intense guitar, like this really like heavy, down-tuned guitar. Like it's just so intense, and then like the drums are really like driving, really powerful, and then you've got this crazy scream that's like. What does he say? He says, you always send the poor or something? I couldn't.
Oh, God knows. I mean, half the time what Serge is on about. I mean, what I
it's
really.
It's the other guy. So the other guy starts it off. He does that like scream bit.
Yeah. Oh God, I can't remember his name.
I don't know his name, but I know
they've got weird Armenian names. I don't.
I know the other one is Serge,
Armenian.
and then he comes in, and do you know what? I mean, this is such an interesting song. I mean, we could have like spent 2 hours talking about this song literally, because I'm just going to try and summarize my thoughts about it. It's so interesting. But they mix up styles like throughout this song, and it's so they just shift in and out of doing different things. So you kind of think it's going somewhere. Then there's a bit where it's a bit groovy, and then there's like a chorus where they're singing this like R&B chorus where he sounds like Gwen Stefani, and he goes, you know, oh la 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 la, whatever, and then sings this like everybody have a good time kind of thing. In this weird like R&B kind of chorus thing.
Everybody's going to the party, have a real good time.
It's like, well, what?
And then it just goes from that into.
Like, what is going? I had to listen. I probably 3 or 4. I probably listened to it 3 or 4 times just to try to understand what was going on.
I really struggled with the song because I mean you can't have a discussion on that genre without mentioning
Darren. Thank you. That's his name. Darren.
Thank you, ATL Beer Brewer, my buddy from Twitter. How's it going, man? Good to see you in the chat. With System of a Down, it was so hard. I mean, I knew I had to give you something from them, but I couldn't. And like I mean, the obvious would have been to give you Chop Suey. I
will go. I've not heard that. I'll go and check it out. But this one was
seen Chop Suey.
No, this song was properly mind blowing, and I thought his singing sounded a bit even like remind me of Ozzy a little bit. He's got that kind of that sort of tone. It's a bit Sabbath in a way, but then it's not, and then he's just not singing. He's just narrating or something.
One of the reasons that I ran this stream on my alternative channel my second channel was because this channel isn't monetized, and I thought, you know, we might be able to play a bit of stuff. So I really, I just want to see your little reaction when you see this, okay? Because this is just going to make your night. This is Chop Suey by System of a Down, all right?
Self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. Wake up! Grab brush and put a little makeup.
What did you think to that?
Yeah, that sounds more kind of new metal-y than BYOB.
That was their first really big hit. That was the one I was going to send you.
I'm getting that. I can get why that was. It's got those chords, those kind of the shifts in tone. It's got the kind of the shifts in kind of the slower bits, the faster bits. It rocks. It really rocks. It really is cool. They've got some cool looking guitars.
System of a Down fan.
Yeah. It was honestly that song. That's the one I'm going to give 10 out of 10, and that was my favourite track on the playlist.
So have we managed to make you into a bit of a new metal convert?
I actually think so. I'm gonna go and check out some of those the live performances that you've talked about. I'd like to check out some actual albums. So if anyone's got any like suggested actual full like albums to listen to, because you never know where to kind of start. You don't want to maybe just listen to their first album or whatever, because it might not be the good one.
Yeah, I think I can't remember the name of the album. If anybody in the chat knows it, it was the System of a Down one with violent pornography on it, and that is one of my favourite System of a Down. The chorus is violent pornography, choking chicks, and sodomy. That's the kind of shit you get on TV. They're just like slating, you know, how horrible the world's got and everything. But
I think now, with everything the way it is now, I can probably appreciate this stuff a bit more than, like, I guess when I was in my early 20s, and you don't really care, you don't give too much of a stuff about anything in your early 20s because you think it's all going to be good and it's all going to turn out fine. So, like, what are all these people on whinging about? Like, nah, it's all, you know, no, everything's great, because you're an idiot. So yeah, Jo in her early 20s was an idiot and was like, no, I don't want to listen to all this. This is, you know, what are they on about? Bombs and whatnot.
No, I think when you get a negative idea of something, it puts you off it, and you know that's that. I was kind of like that with Ghost until I started listening to them, and I was like, I love Ghost now.
It's so funny. I think it's also about when the time in your life and what else is going on, and like I just thought this is absolutely due for a revisit because I'm totally kind of different now, tastes are different now, I've got a different perspective on everything now, obviously, and And I think I had sort of blindly written off a lot of this without
Right.
really.
Well, listen, because
Yeah.
we're going to have to start wrapping up soon.
Yeah.
But I want to get you and Jim on, and we'll do a Beatles stream one night.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I'd love
Okay,
that.
and
I'd
if
absolutely love
Jim's
that.
up for that, we'll get together and sort out a diary for that, and we'll do a Beatles stream because I think that would be great. And another stream I want to do with you is I want to introduce you to thrash metal, the early thrash metal.
Cool.
And I think I
I'll be
can
up for that.
bring you around to that as well.
This is it, and a lot of people have said in the comments, your tastes change, things change in your life, and the thing is, you get into a rut, don't you? And like I certainly do anyway with my music listening, and you just kind of don't if you don't push yourself and challenge yourself to sort of listen to something different. You will eventually get bored even of the things that you like. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jim, I'll have to introduce Joe to Speak English or Die. That's a classic track.
Who's that? What's that?
That's Stormtroopers of Death. They were kind of like a precursor side project to Anthrax. But yeah, the guitar playing on that is fast and it's brutal. Right, so listen, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you so much for this, Joe. Honestly, it's been so much fun.
Thank you, Andy. Honestly, because that is an absolutely kick-ass playlist, and so if nothing else, I have really enjoyed listening to those tracks. And thanks everyone for listening to my ramblings about them.
Yeah, honestly, a big shout out to everybody in the chat tonight. You've all been absolutely brilliant. Everybody watching on Twitter, sorry, X, and YouTube. If you haven't already, head over and make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the live channel. Obviously, the more traction it gets, the more stuff I will do over here. Shout out to Judy, thank you and good evening. It's good to see you again. Huge shout out to Jim as always, and I'll be back on Wednesday. It'll be me and Jim, and we'll be just nerding out on guitar stuff. So make sure you come and check the stream out. Thanks from me, Joe. Say good night.
Check. See you.